It's not a rumor. When you collect something from the Europeans, having assured them that you are going to provide so things, when you go to meet the white people and say that, well, I'm going to build museum and it's going to house the artifact, they are going to give you money because it's a novel idea.
Thanks for clicking on this channel. Please subscribe to FO's blog and click on the notification button so that whenever we upload a new video you will be notified. Edo government budgets 2 billion naira for Benin Royal Museum, and Mr. Izoduwa explains how Obaseki collected money from Europeans, promising to build a museum. The pressure mounted by the Benins at home and in diaspora on Governor Obaseki has paid off, especially from Izoduwa and his group, made Governor Obaseki to budget 2 billion naira for the construction of Benin Royal Museum. The government of Edo State has budgeted the sum of 2 billion naira for the construction of Benin Royal Museum in the 2023 appropriation proposals. This is part of the details contained in the budget document presented to State House of Assembly for consideration. We have completed our master plan to promote tourism and will be prioritizing the development of the cultural district. To this end, we have made a provision of 2 billion naira to support the construction of the Benin Royal Museum and 1 billion for the cultural district, Governor Godwin Obaseki said while presenting the 2023 budget to the state legislature. Let's listen to Governor Obaseki and Imiswan Izoduwa as the latter explains how Obaseki collected money from Europeans, promising to build museum with the money, and he further said that Benin Royal Museum is our divine right. Okay, let's listen to them. First, listen to Governor Obaseki.
In the area of economic development, we have completed our master plan to promote tourism and will be prioritizing the development of our culture district, which adjoins these premises. To this end, we have made provisions for 2 billion naira to support the construction of the Benin Royal Museum, in addition to the support we've given for the development of the Edo Museum of West African Arts, and we are making an additional provision of 1 billion for the construction and development work in the Benin Cultural District. Mr. Speaker, on this note, I want to thank all Edo people.
We are going to discuss about, we're not going to play, I don't like playing sentiment around what concerns. Like I've always said, I don't have business with government, whether state or federal. I don't have business with government, whether state or federal, at whatever level. I don't engage myself in the pettiness of politics. I don't get muddled up kind politics. But I've always sworn that the only time that Izoduwa will be heard speaking against political office holders is only when they cross the boundary of discussing or trying to undermine the ancient institution of the Oba of Benin. That is the only time I will ever talk or discuss anything that has to do with politics or government. He has crossed the line again, and he tried, like in his own usual mannerism, he always finds ways to emotionally blackmail the people into submitting into his cunning style. And I'm going to debunk all of those emotional sentiments he usually play on Edo people. He spoke a lot about things. I don't usually listen to government officials when they speak, but I had to take a keen interest in listening. He spoke about the ancient civilization of the Benin people. He spoke about him not having issues with the Oba of Benin. He spoke about that the artifact will bring a lot of tourism. The museum is going to bring a lot of tourism and all of that. We're going to go through all of them, but let it be very clear to you all. I promise you, he's not going to win this war. He won't win, but he won't relent either. After he loses this, he's going to come up with another one. The point is this, it's not a rumor. When you collect something from the Europeans, having assured them that you are going to provide so things, when you go to meet the white people and say that, well, I'm going to build a museum and it's going to house the artifact, they are going to give you money because it's a novel idea. Then when you fail to meet up with what you promised, then you now begin to have problems with European authorities. This is a clear case. Why is he still fighting tooth and nail to get those artifacts, knowing fully where he has lost? Because Origone, we believe that there is more than how do I put it? Like I said, when you collect something from the Europeans, promising them that you're going to construct something and you fail to do that, they will ask for their refund. And that is the case. Refund is being asked for. He has to find all ways to ensure that those artifacts get to him. 1897 is a very bitter experience. I wasn't born then. My grandfather was born in the year 1925. So obviously, my father wasn't born then either. So my great-grandfather would have been alive at that time. He certainly was alive in Maswing. But from the story that we were told by all who was alive at that time, who experienced that unfortunate episode of the British invasion in 1897, it is a bitter pill and a bitter experience that Edo people don't want to experience anymore. Our women were raped. Our daughters were raped. Our mothers were killed. Our fathers were slaughtered. The ancient civilization that was built by our ancestors was completely burnt down by the imperial onslaught of these British invaders. Prior, before they invaded us, they had estimated the worth of our treasure, of our priceless artifact. And they knew that it was going to be a win-win situation for them. Defeat these people, steal all of these their properties, and you're going to, in future, make several billions out of it. In the topmost part of all of these conspiracy against our land and people, our Oba of Oramen was humiliated. I was deposed. Obaseki's father, Godwin Obaseki's father, was not humiliated. He wasn't humiliated. He wasn't deposed. The Oba of Benin was humiliated and he was deposed. I want people to get this thing very clearly. While our Obaseki strived in the firmament of such unfortunate episode, the royal house had to go through that kind of humiliation that was never. It is a painful experience. It is a painful experience. While some families benefited from that, the chief beneficiary of that war was the Obaseki's family. And the people who were the most disadvantaged of that unfortunate episode was the royal family. I want people to understand these two things. One benefited from the war, and one totally lost from the war. Don't forget, Oba Obarame is the last independent Oba of Benin. His right, everything that makes him the God King of the Edo land, was stripped away from him. All that he was, his history was scattered away. His spirituality was humiliated by these same British. While such humiliation was ongoing, the other family benefited so much from the humiliation of the royal family. 125 or 26 or 27 years, someone can help me calculate it later. That same family is also bent again by one of his descendants to humiliate or undermine the same royal family that was at the receiving end during the British invasion in 1897. This is a common knowledge. This is a common knowledge. Let nobody tell you this. Let nobody say that he wasn't interested. He wasn't interested in usurping the throne of the Oba of Benin. And today, one of his sons is doing almost similar existence. What we have said, and we want to categorically say it clearly. I don't like to talk about this history, not that we don't have superior argument to present. But I don't like, but he's pushing us to the very extreme. And every Edo man cannot afford to be quiet in the concept of his bringing development at the detriment of our history, at the detriment of our self-consciousness as an Edo man and an Edo woman. Not everybody is under his payroll, so not everybody he can control. Not everybody he can silence. These things we say are verifiable, authentic, and truth. If anybody wishes to have a debate with me and say that I will never wanted to betray the royal palace of the Oba of Benin in 1914, should come out. Should come out. We have more than enough documented history that proves so. So if about 120 something years later or so, one of his progeny came out and trying to reawaken the wounds of the invasion of 1897, like I proved, one family benefited. One family benefited from what happened to the royal family. And the royal family was at loss. One family benefited and the other royal family was at loss. And there is a repetition of that. This Gwage Gregory must be very stupid and foolish. Because you know why? If you cannot call your brother to order for misbehaving, for trying to undermine a royal institution that is over 2,000 years old, it's rather unfortunate and very foolish and stupid. Because this is not a time, like I have said, I've told people before now, those people who have kept mute should not bother to call Izoduwa, should not bother to chat up Izoduwa that I should participate in any of the program. Because right now, we are going to segregate the wheat or the corn, the corn from the chaff. The corn from the chaff. Alright? The corn, we're going to separate the corn from the chaff. Alright? Now, if anybody says, no insult, please, no insult. No insult. I don't want anybody to insult anybody. We are Benins, we have respect for our elders. We are Benins. If you don't mind, we have respect for our elders. But we must put truth in the proper place. No insult, please. No insult. White here, born of Europa. Please, let's focus. Let us get the details. We must be equipped. We must get the details. Alright? The first part is this. Let's go back to the issue on ground. First, the Benin Royal Museum is an ordained divine mandate. First, the Benin Royal Museum is an ordained divine mandate. Whether it takes place in 100 years or it takes place in 500 years, it is a divine, ordained divine mandate. Whether it takes 20 years, whether it takes 50 years, if we have waited patiently for over 100 years, we will wait again in the next 2 years. Like I have said, we will lead protests in different countries. Ogagi Baku, none of those artifacts should be returned until a government. Alright? If it pushes us to the very extreme that he's pushing us, we are going to do a worldwide protest in all of these countries. Daniel return artifacts now until the next 2 years. Until the next 2 years. Like I have said, the facts are there. No one is stopping him as the governor or as the government. He has every right. Within his right, he has every single right. He has every single right to want to build any museum he wants to build. He has every right. We cannot stop him from doing that. He has every right to do that. God bless him. The more, like I said in one of my videos yesterday, the more the merrier. No one is disputing that he has every right to do that, to build whatever museum he wants to build. But let him know that the museum is building. First, he has spited us, the Benin people. He has insulted us, the Benin people. He created a committee that everybody is aware that is headed by one Igbo person. If that is not embarrassing to you as an adult person who seems himself too incapable to handle a project that has to do with the history of your land, incapable you will remain for life. How can an Igbo man head a committee that will construct an idea that has to benefit an adult land? And a lot of these stupid people, because you belong to his family, if it was for my family and is misbehaving like this, I'll be the first person to call him out. I'll be the first person to call him out. If at this time around, people are not resigning from his government, people are not resigning from the government. Yes, just like what you people do, silence everybody. Not everybody can be silent, young man. Not everybody can be silent. Not everybody can be silent. Not everybody is under the payroll of the government. Not everybody that can be manipulated. Not everybody that you can put under your caprices. People genuinely will fight for this land. And like I told you, and like I'm telling you now, it is not a war that he will win. Mark this word. Mark this word. It is not a war that he will win. No one is anticipating for it. But he's pushing us to the extreme. He's telling us how foolish that we are. He's clamoring for properties that does not belong to him. He is nothing. He's acting like a criminal. except he's able to prove, like I've said, I challenge everybody, I always challenge people, except he's able to prove that those artifacts that were carted away, that were stolen, are not the properties of the Oba of Benin. Are not the properties, of the Oba of Benin. The question that we ask, let him prove, not all of those nonsense talk, those lies that they are talking about. None of those nonsense talk and those lies that they are talking about. We are talking about, let it be proven. Like they have said that the artifact belongs to the Edo people. I said, no, it doesn't belong to Edo people. Let me refresh our brain. Most of you do not know this fact that I want to tell you. Some Obas were bronze casters. Some Obas of Benin were bronze casters. One of which was one of the most distinguished bronze caster, which was Obaseki. Obaseki was a distinguished bronze caster. He was initiated into the Igun court to learn the art of bronze casting. He became a bronze caster. Now, how were the Iguneo created? Like I have told you, I have repeated this statement several times. Iguneo were not created by Edo people. Iguneo was created by the Obas of Benin for the purpose of record keeping of the royal house. That is why you see most 90% or 95% of the Igun tells the story of the royal house. Tells the story of the royal house. Like I said, it was a capital crime for any Benin man to possess artifacts. What they now call artifacts. It was a capital crime for anybody to possess these priceless artworks, except be permitted by the Oba of Benin. And there were very few Edo nobles, Edo chiefs, that were privileged to have these artifacts in their respective homes. And it's less than 1%, about 0.5%. So that means 99.5% or so were artifacts that were stolen from the great-great-grandfather of the present monarch. When you steal something from someone, what is right you do? You return it to the owner. It is not as if there is no longer the Benin royal house no longer exists. That is what we are begging for. Allow this artifact. So many Benin Benin people were killed for this. And one of the chief orchestrator of that was the same patriarch of this same family, whose son, in about 125 years later, is also spearheading another rebellious act against the royal family. So, the royal house had been in the loss for far too long. And finally, with the prayers of our ancestors and Edo people and every Oba before the recent monarch, it's been answered. The Europeans are shivering because they understand that these things are not theirs. They wish to return it to the place at which they were carted away from. The place is the palace of the Oba of Benin and it still exists till date. What is expected is that they should come and bring it to the rightful owner. It is the rightful owner that will not tell what it should be used for. That is what we are asking. That is what we are requesting. I'm not asking for too much. The royal house haven't asked for too much. He was the one who made pledge that he was going to fund, partly support the building of the Benin Royal Museum. The news are out there in 2018. Then how come about a year later, it went 360 degree cycle? and begin to do whatever that pleases him. We all know the truth because we know that there's so much money that is to accomplish. He's not interested in the artworks. So what we are asking, since you have made up your mind that you're not going to support the royal house to build this museum, beautiful, but you don't have right over these artifacts because they are not yours. For the fact that your state governor does not give you the power, the right to do the unthinkable. People, citizens of this country, still have rights to possess what belongs to them. If you want to build a world-class museum, build your world-class museum and find a way to sort that for whatever you want to put in there. You cannot forcibly take what does not belong to you, what was not given. And like I said, you cannot go and meet Iguneo. I put it very clearly. Maybe you people did not understand what I said. You cannot go and meet Iguneo to produce art for you because you're the governor. In the first place, you didn't create Iguneo. The institution that created Iguneo is not the British government institution that was created in Nigeria or that was enforced in Nigeria. It is the Benin traditional institution that created Iguneo. So Iguneo will need permission from the royal palace of the Oba of Benin before they can begin to cast bronze works, the Igbesawan. We need permission from the Oba of Benin before they can begin to carve either ivories or woods. Likewise Ubo and several other gifts. So, he spoke about the beautiful things and civilizations that the world Europeans loved. We agree. The beautiful things that the world Europeans loved. We agree about it. The beautiful things that the world civilization loved. There are so many things that he can do that doesn't have to concern the artifact. The artifact was not what was most intriguing to the Europeans. What was intriguing to the Europeans was the Great Benin Wall. Does Obaseki even know where the Great Benin Wall is located? Maybe someone should ask him. Where Benin Wall? Yeah, can a Benin Wall? Does he know the size of the Benin moat? Does he know how many Benin moat and the history behind them? He doesn't know that the Benin moat is the only UNESCO recognized site in the entire Benin Kingdom. It's the only Benin moat, and it's not fully recognized. It's under the tentative list. People should go to the UNESCO website and check. One would expect that the governor would have set up the ministry to ensure that some of these Great Wall of Benin, some of these moats are being recognized by UNESCO sites. None of the sites in the entire Edo State are being recognized by UNESCO. The only one is on the tentative list. It has not met the criteria to be fully recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And here, Ogbinai artifact. No, when the Europeans will come from overseas, are they not going to meet the current insecurity, the current infrastructural decay? Are they not going to meet that? Why is the artifact so important and dear to him amongst everything? Like someone said, it wasn't even part of the electionary promises. Then why is he now at the front burner of his government? So one should understand that there are so many things to be suspicious of. No one is trying. The royal house of the Oba of Benin has not undermined the state government in any way. In any way. The royal house, the palace, has never said Obaseki does not have the right to build his museum. What the royal house have said is that these artifacts belongs to the royal house and it must be returned to the royal house. What we are pleading If you want those artifacts, go and meet the owner and speak with him and negotiate with him. If you think the museum will remove the millions of unemployed youth or the thousands of unemployed youth in Edo State, beautiful. If the museum will be the greatest legacy that you will leave behind as a former governor of Edo State, beautiful. Go and meet the owner, negotiate with him. Do not play sentiment with the people and tell the people that there is nothing wrong between you and the palace of the Oba Benin. Everybody are not stupid. Me Oswo nia. Omana Oswo me ba Oswo. Omana Oyo maro pai me ba Oyo maro pai. It's almost about 2 years that either him or any of his government official went to the palace. Enye kaji gwe. Nye kaji gwe oba, nye kaji bedi oba. Oyore nukbo. Was the state government not writing congratulatory messages? Official congratulatory messages? I can tell you how many congratulatory messages that he has written to a lot of people in the past 1 year. None of them was addressed to the palace of the Oba of Benin. No one is saying he must do that. He has a right to do or not to do anything that he wants. Beautiful. But he shouldn't give us a mental picture that everything is alright between him and the palace. If everything is alright between him and the palace, let him go and meet the owner. Because certainly it's not. The Edo State government do not own. Amongst all of these Edo State government officials, which of them can make a bronze, can cast a bronze? Unuya meba seomo. Unuya meba kaira. That not give them the authority to think that they own this thing. No, you don't own these things. You don't own these things. So if you want to possess, it would be a win-win situation. First, we do not recognize Edo State Museum of West African Art. First, Benin Royal Museum. Benin is a more authentic word than Edo State. And I will prove it. And I'll prove it. And I'll prove it. Benin is a more authentic word than Edo State. Some people are so historically dumb. Some section of Edo State are saying that is it the only Benin people that owns the artifact? Who was Zwa? Eruwa Selmo. Eruwa Ropa Selmo. Wagbeo Wagbon. How many did any of your father that did not say that it will only belong to the Benin people? Did your own father make any artifact? Waselmo. We know that it's the concept of doing those bronze is hereditary. An outsider cannot. Very few persons, and they came from the royal family. And they came from the royal family. So any person not really tired that a debtor donya because area rockba near time area no sound of igun. No sound of igun. By nature, it is the right of the Benin people. But the context of Benin is what a lot of you people do not understand, and I want to educate you people. For some of you are very, very ignorant of our history. For some of you are very ignorant of our history. The Benin, the context of Benin is way larger than the context of Edo State. Edo State was just created in 1991. Wasn't August 26 or so, 1991, that Edo State was created. Benin has been in existence from aeons, for thousands of years. Benin is what the world recognizes us as. Not Edo State. Edo State is a geographical space that was created by the useless British system of governance. The Benins were existing before, even before Midwest was created in 1967, or before Edo State was created in 1991. Where the Benins not existing, before the British came in 1897, was Benin not existing? Was there Edo State in 1897, the year that these things were carried away? Was there Edo State? Then why should Edo State now represent the same history that is way older than the state? And people don't understand that Edo State is a fragment of Benin. Benin is not inside Edo State. Edo State is inside Benin. Simple historical sense. If you decide to see yourself as Edo, who are the Edo people in the first place? Is it not even better for you to recognize yourself as Benin? Do you think Benin refers to the 7 local governments of Edo South? Do you think that's what Benin represents? Are you not saying that the Benin Empire was restricted to the present day 7 local governments of Edo State? Edo, as a word, was the capital city of Benin Empire. Benin Empire was a city-state. It had its own capital city. And it was called Edo. So Edo is a localized version of the international brand of Benin. Ivie Do Mahi. You cannot see Ivie Benin Mahi. I'm a Benin man. The international version, the English version. Why the local version is Edo? The Edo South people are called the Edo people. So if you say Edo State, you are restricting the history behind those artifacts. And that's what we are saying. So Benin is a name that truly identifies us. Even the context of Edo was created in the 15th century by the Oba, by the first. We already had a name called Benin before Edo came into existence. And it's also us that refers to ourselves as Iviedo. So that if you people start bringing tribalism into this, the Edo State punctuates the Edo people. But the Benin reflects every socio-cultural group, every tribal group within the sphere of the Benin influence. Common sense. When you go to Togo and you say that you are from Edo, nobody recognizes you. If you are not aware, a lot of them don't travel. A lot of them don't travel. I just came back from Port Harcourt, addressing over 14 royal majesties. Nobody calls us, refer to us as Edo people. We are referred to as Benin people. Because that's our global brand. Then why localize us to the international community who recognizes the Oba as the Oba of Benin? People think that when you address the Oba of Benin, it means that you are addressing it as Oba of Edo South Senatorial District. Please, Oba is not Oba of Edo. When you call him Oba of Edo, you are restricting him. It is called Oba of Benin. We understand the influence of the old Benin Empire. And a lot of these people, we're going to be releasing quite a lot of videos. We toured, for the past 3 days, we've toured the 3 senatorial districts of River State. Where everywhere we go, all of these Royal Majesty had the picture of Obaiwaye on their various walls. Go to Togo, go to Accra, go to everywhere. You have the portraits of the Oba of Benin on the Royal Majesty's wall. How many of them outside Edo State? Outside Edo State, do you think anybody will put Obaseki's portrait on their wall? Because of Mimafo. Because my mimi will boy they're talking about a king that has a global brand. How do I localize it? After 2 years, do you think it will still be recognized by anybody, even the idiots that are supporting him? Do you think anybody will still recognize him? Where's Lucky Benedion today? Where's Lucky Benedion today? Then you are supporting an institution of 8 years over an institution that have lasted for over 2,000 years. Is that not stupidity or in the name of modernization? Not that he's even right. He's wrong. He's clearly on the wrong. He's clearly on the wrong. That's what we're saying. He's clearly on the wrong. It's clearly very wrong. So we can no longer fold our hands for anybody to sit in their confinement because they have power. And that begins to undermine an institution. And let people be very clear. I do not speak for the palace. I speak as a patriotic Edo man. I speak as a patriotic Benin man. Not everybody has to be paid to represent an institution they so much believed in. That they are so much proud. You know why a lot of you are not proud? Because you people have not traveled. You people have not read your history. Some of our brothers have followed us and toured the Free Senatorial District of Rivers State. Almost cried to see how the Benin Oba is being revered or revered all over the places we've been. Then one local champion who now wants to now localize the influences of the Oba of Benin. Because my magi enik bima. Because of the lalo body mamie. It is shameful. It is shameful. It is shameful that the same Benin people that will call themselves Benin people, a lot of them are still in this government. Because one man I will continue to respect for the days of my life. One man I will continue to respect. I've been speaking about him all throughout today. His name is Chief Humphrey. His name is Humphrey Omo Osaigi, the heir of the time of Oba Kenzwa II. That Iyase was a great man. That Iyase was a great man. I'm not saying the present Iyase isn't great. He's very old. He can do less. The John is very old. He can do less. That Iyase was a great man. Yes, some people, it couldn't have been all. That Iyase is a great man. Do you know why? Do you know why I said that Iyase is a great man? When the Midwest was realized in the year 1967, two things were in contention. Two things were in contention. Number one, who becomes the prime minister of the then region? Number two, August. Sorry, thank you. 1963. Thank you, Osunobu. 1963, August 9, 1963. Yes. Thank you, 1963. Now, two things were in contention. Who becomes the prime minister of the Midwest region? And where will the capital city be located? Humphrey was one of the most outstanding, aside Akenzwa II, aside Omo Akenzwa II, Humphrey was the second most outstanding Benin man. And he was projected to be the first prime minister of the newly created Midwest region. But however, if he becomes the first prime minister, the capital city will be moved to Warri province. He said no. He said no. Wherever the Oba is, will the development begin from. Wherever the Oba of Benin is, will be the capital city. So he fulfilled the calling of the people over the calling of himself. He saw the patriotism, his duty to the land, over his own selfish pocket. That man is the father of Chifute Tenegiabi. That man is the father of Chifute Tenegiabi. I stand to be corrected. 99.9% of the present Edo people will have accepted to be the prime minister while the capital city moved to Warri. I stand to be corrected. I stand with my chest, with my full chest, to be corrected. These were people who were patriotic to the cause. The deed, what he did many years ago, is still being talked about today. He would have, the Edo State Government House would have become Ofri Omosaige House. If you don't know what I'm saying, it would have been Ofri Omosaige House and not Denis Osaidebe House. In case he denied his family, he had rather remain in poverty for his people to benefit. Well, how many Edo people would do that in these modern times? We should ask ourselves, with all the work that modern Edo people has accumulated through divisiveness, through self-centeredness, how many of them do you think anybody will speak about in the next 100 years in good manner, or in the next 50 years in good manner, that Izoduwa is speaking about Chief Omo Saige, Chief Humphrey Omo Saige, alias B2. He was nicknamed B2. That is Benin number 2. Because Oba Akenzo was B1. He was B2. As the Yasser of Benin. So we remember him today for his love for the land and for the patriotic for the cause for the land. And I am, by this live video, calling on all other patriotic Edo people. This is not war, but this is a time for us to take a sober reflection and understand that what we are talking about is not because we hate anybody. It's not because one person gave us money. Anybody can go and do verification anywhere. It's otherwise clean, very clean. Since 2016, I don't think I've ever been to any politician's house. I say that with my full chest. In any area we are. I'm a Benin man. Obama Gbewen, Ikwane Gbewen. I say that all the time, so that people should know that I speak because I love my land. And not because one person is giving me 1 million or 2 million in backstage. And that's why I'm coming to vibrate. But with fake time, we'll continue to inspire our people to understand that the palace is not wrong. They are trying to untwist the palace, just like they did in 1897, just like they did in 1914. We understand that from the same family, Aniyase was chosen by vote. From the same family, Aniyase was chosen by vote. It was chosen by vote. Choosing by vote, And your boy will do when your Iyase. It was untwisted. They are always formed historically. And I can read, if anybody want to also say that if you told I can read from books where some Obas were untwisted by this same family. One of the years I was nominated, his name is Gaius Obaseki. He was nominated by vote. He was never chosen by the Oba of Benin, as Isaiah said. So I can go on and say a lot of things, but I'm not trying to bridle anyone. I'm trying to tell the people that enough is enough. We cannot allow one generation of people to continue to untwist the palace for their selfish reasons. For what gain? Are they the only family in Benin Kingdom? Emi no regwa. Wagi avione. Emi no regwa wagi avione. That's what we are asking.